Welcome to the Local Real Estate Show. Join us each week as we hear from local real estate professionals from around the country. We'll hear their stories, get their advice on the current market trends to the best ways to get the most out of your real estate purchases, sales, or investments. Whether you're just getting started and buying your first home or you are a seasoned real estate investor, there's something here for everyone. So buckle up and get ready to hear from the people who know the real estate industry the best. Now your host, Steve Champagne.
Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Champagne here with the Local Real Estate Show. Today, I have a very special guest. I got Tana Widdows from Terra Nova Compass. Oh, powered by Compass. Welcome to the show, Tana.
Thank you, Steve. I know it's a mouthful, right?
It is. I'm going like, okay, we're during while we're getting ready to come on to the show, I'm going like, can I say this correctly? So anyways, all right, let's get into it. Why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself and who you are first?
Sure. I'm Tana Widdows. I live here in Chapel Hill with my husband and my Great Dane puppy. And I'm not a native. I was born in Canada, and then we moved to Oregon. And then from there, we moved to Sonoma, California. From there, I went to Sausalito. And then from there, before we moved here, I was in Santa Cruz, California. And now I'm here.
Okay. So Santa Cruz to the Carolinas. Yeah, I have something similar of a story like that. Spent like 10 years in Southern California. I was in wine country of Southern California. So, and then I moved back.
Temecula?
Yeah, Temecula, exactly. Yeah. I was in Temecula, and then I moved back here to Maine, where I'm originally from. And now we're doing this whole real estate show. Okay, so you're a real estate agent. And why did you become one?
Well, I was working for BP, and I felt like it was a great job, but I didn't feel passionate about it. I wasn't passionate about selling oil. I loved the people there, and I loved my clients there, but no passion. And with real estate, you get to help people transition from one chapter to the next chapter. You get to help them build wealth, emotional security, financial wealth. Had a lot more passion about that, and took a giant leap of faith after a yoga retreat. A little cliche, but came home from a yoga retreat and quit my corporate job, and never
looked back. So how long have you been doing real estate?
I've been practicing real estate for the last 6 years.
Okay, 6 years. And been a good career move, you said, for yourself.
It's been great.
Okay.
I love it.
All right. So people hear the term real estate agent, realtor. Can you tell me what the difference is between the two and why someone should be doing business with a realtor?
Sure. So once you pass the test, you are a real estate agent in theory. But until you join an association and the National Association of Realtors, NAR, you cannot become a realtor. And when you join the association, you take a code of ethics every year and do some training on code of ethics, which just puts you a little bit above the rest. And you have to follow those codes to ensure that you're doing the right thing.
Okay. All right. So you're in Chapel Hill. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Chapel Hill? And
sure.
If I was to move there, why should I move to Chapel Hill?
So Chapel Hill is part of the Triangle in North Carolina.
Okay.
North Carolina. And it's Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. Chapel Hill is the home of UNC, which is the first public university. It's also where Michael Jordan went to school, and from there I went to the MBA. In the Triangle, we have RTP, which is deemed the next Silicon Valley. We have a bunch of businesses moving here. We have Google, Apple, Meta, all moving here or having campuses here. because the job climate and the business climate is so good. We have the lowest corporate taxes in the US, and Forbes and CNBC both ranked us the best place to do business in America.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about the town. Is it a quaint town? Shops, little
So
great
Chapel Hill is
restaurants.
the smallest of the 3 towns that make up the triangle: Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill.
Yeah.
60,000 population. It's got a cute little downtown main street called Franklin Street. It's in the historic district. People are really smart here because we have Duke University over in Durham, 20 minutes away, and we have UNC here. So lots of education, lots of tech here, great food. We have great craft beer scene. We have lots of parks. It's lots of greenery. We have 4 seasons. It's a beautiful place to live.
Okay. All right. So maybe I'll move down to Chapel Hill.
Come on by.
Come on
Check
by.
it out. I know a good realtor.
You know a good realtor. Okay. So let's talk about the real estate market in Chapel Hill.
Sure.
Is it right now? Things are heating up, I have to assume. Is there a decent inventory? Would you say Chapel Hill is a market for first-time home buyers? Is there first-time home buyer inventory, or is it more of a established type of inventory for second?
So one of the
home,
things I
home.
love about Chapel Hill is that you really do have things for all price points. Like I have a $3 million listing in the historic district right now, but I just helped a first-time home buyer buy a home for $500,000 in Chapel Hill. And earlier in first quarter, I helped a first-time home buyer buy a small condo in Durham for $360,000. So, and then today I wrote an offer for a home for $800,000 in Chapel Hill. So there's really all price points, and that's really nice, right?
Are there? What's the inventory like there? Is there a decent amount of inventory? Are we starting to see
So we still have no
offers.
inventory. Like anywhere in the country, any real estate feed you listen to, there's no inventory. Have you heard of the golden handcuffs?
No.
Well, all the sellers have them on because all of the sellers have the great interest rates that were offered during COVID for 2.75%, 3%. And so it makes it really hard when interest rates are now in the 6.3% for a seller to want to sell their house. They might want to downsize or do something like that, or upsize. But it's hard to pull the trigger on that when you're going to triple your mortgage payment when you have that beautiful 2.75 mortgage payment or interest rate.
Now
so
I know what you.
Very little inventory because of the golden handcuffs, but people do have life circumstances that force them to move. So we have we're down about 30% from last year.
Okay. All right. So we're going to get into some questions now. I get about 5-6 questions here geared towards first-time home buyers, purchasers, that I would like you to give a stab at answering them for our listeners. All right, here we go. Do I need a real estate agent to buy a home?
You don't.
Okay.
But I wouldn't recommend buying a home without one. And 94% of people use a realtor to buy a home because, like, I wouldn't come and do your job, Steve, because I don't know how. I think anytime you think about the first time you do something, how many mistakes you make, and you don't want to be tripping over dollars to pick up dimes, so you don't save any money not using a realtor. And a realtor can point you towards things that you might not notice, like cracks in the foundation that can be, super expensive once you buy the house, or make sure that you get a radon test because you don't want cancer and you didn't know that you had radon in the house, so those type of things. You don't know what you don't know.
So you should use a real estate agent or a realtor when you buy your house.
I recommend it.
Okay. All right. Let's get into how does the offer and negotiation process work from a buyer side of the equation?
Sure. So once you've decided that you want to become a homeowner, you go ahead and get pre-qualified, and then you know what price range you can shop in. And then we go shop in the price range that you're qualified for, and with the home type that you're looking for, square feet, number of bedrooms, number of bathrooms, type of yard, etc. And then once we find the house and we want to make an offer, we go ahead and talk to the seller's agent, or I talk to the seller's agent. I do this all for you. And we find out, is it going to be a multiple offer situation? Maybe the seller needs a rent back. Maybe the seller needs to close earlier than later or later than earlier. So I find out all those things, and then we bring that back to the table and we talk about what the seller needs and what you can do to help the seller get what they want, and how to structure your offer based on what your needs are for moving, timeline, and price you want to offer, and type of offer you're making, and the type of contingencies that you'd want to make.
Okay. All right. So you've closed on the deal. Now it's time to get an appraisal. So what happens during the appraisal process for the buyer?
Sure. So once we've got an accepted offer, and that's agreed on offer by you and the seller, and then the bank wants to make sure, and if you're a cash buyer, you don't need an appraisal, which is great. But if you aren't a cash buyer, and did you know that 38% of homes today do not have a mortgage?
No, I didn't know that.
Trivia. And 27% of homes that buyers bought last March, 1 month ago, 2 months ago, were bought without a mortgage. So there's a lot of cash out there. But appraisal was your question. So the appraisal is done by the bank, and the bank just wants to verify that you aren't paying too much for the house, because they're loaning on it, and they just want to verify that you're getting a fair deal.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about down payment. Now, we've heard you need 20% down, 3% down, 10% down. How much of a down payment does a new homeowner need, or a first-time home buyer need?
Sure. So it depends on the person. You can't, there are loans for 3%, 10%, and 20%. It depends on your financial situation and what you need to do for your situation. And you have to qualify for a 3%. There's different qualifying procedure and different programs for first-time buyers. So you just have to look at the different programs in your area to see if you qualify for them.
Okay. Terms are thrown out synonymous, as far as pre-qualification and pre-approval for a mortgage. What's the difference for the buyer from being pre-qualified and being pre-approved?
So we touched on this a little bit before. When you first get going, you get pre-qualified, and that's just based on a quick conversation with you and a lender. I make this much, I have this much debt, I have this many assets, and then they can do a ballpark. Well, you're probably going to qualify in here. That's qualified. That's qualified. For approval, they take it a step further. You're going to send in documents to prove that this is what you make, this is what your debt is. They're going to run a credit report. They're going to put it through underwriting. Once you're pre-approved, then you're as good as cash, except for you need that appraisal, which you talked about earlier, to get the loan. But you can do a 10-day close as long as you can get the appraiser in there and your house appraises, because you're good as cash.
Okay. All right. Thanks for answering those questions around buyers and purchasing a home. Let's move on to the seller side of the equation now. Okay. So when someone reaches out to you to list their home, and how do you determine the current market value of that home?
Well, it's usually, the same location, location, location,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it's based on location, features, square feet, rooms, bathroom,
Mhm.
yard size. And then you take all that information and you look at comps with similar square footage,
Yep.
bathrooms, bedrooms, location, and you
Mhm.
compare and contrast apples to
Mhm.
apples, oranges to oranges. And then you can come up with a rough idea of what a home will sell for.
Okay. I'm sure you get asked this question a lot. Should I make repairs or upgrades before I list my home?
Well, it really depends on the situation and your offer
Okay.
strategy,
Okay.
or your marketing strategy, I should say. I would say 95% of the time, yes, you should do some stuff to create more curb appeal and
Okay.
make your house shine. I would never recommend big remodel jobs,
Okay.
because usually the return on investment, ROI,
Mm.
isn't there for those.
Okay.
But, painting usually does give you a good ROI. If your carpets are super old and dated, or the hardwood could use a refinishing, you'll get a good ROI on that.
Okay. All right. So right now is probably the hot time of the year for real estate. We're here in late spring, but when is the best time of year to sell your home? Is it this time? When is it?
I mean, I think that's a loaded question. I mean, if life wasn't a thing, I would try to list my house probably early spring. I think
Okay.
that's typically when you see the heat of the market. There's a lot of pent up buyers because there hasn't been a lot on the market. And, there's not a ton of homes on the market because people are still getting their homes ready for sale or finishing school. So, if push came to shove and I got to pick what time, it would be then. But there's not really a bad time to sell. There's always buyers on the market.
Okay.
And you just have to design your marketing strategy around the time that you need to sell, because at the end of the day, you live in your home and your home is your life. And you are buying and selling. Most people are buying and selling for life reasons, not to make $1 million.
Okay. I'm sure you're getting a lot of multiple offers right now on some of your listings. How do you handle that? How do you handle multiple offers? What do you do for your seller when it comes to multiple offers?
So typically I call for, once I understand that we've got more than one interested party, I kind of set an offer date a couple days out. Give the house a proper amount of time to be on the market so all of the interest parties can see it and have the ability to make a great offer. And then when I get them all in, I put them into a spreadsheet. So, and I'll put A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K on the offers. And then you'll have the price, when it's going to close, and other terms that might be interesting to the seller, like is it contingent on the sale of the buyer's home, or, those type of things too. Is it a cash offer? Is the offer 3% down or 20% down? Those type of things make a difference in the strength of the offer. And yeah. And then we just pick the offer that makes the most sense for the seller.
Very good. Okay. We know you work on commission. So what is the average commission structure or commission rate for real estate agents, and how is it split between buyers and seller agents?
So typically it's 6%, and typically it's split even, but there's scenarios where a percent can go either way based on maybe you need me to project manage a bunch of stuff for you. And, or maybe you're buying and selling several homes. So, Most of the time it's 6%. Typically it's 6% split,
Okay.
but both ways.
All right. All right. So I know you're not an accountant, but someone who's just bought their first home and they're going to be selling their home, there's something called capital gains. So I'm sure buyers are wondering, or sellers are wondering, do I have to pay capital gains when I sell my house?
Well, that depends on how much you bought your house for,
Okay.
how many years you've owned your house,
Mm-hmm.
how much you've put into your house,
Yeah.
and how much you're selling your house for. So typically, if you're a single person, and I'm not an accountant, as you mentioned,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you have $250,000 that you don't have to pay capital gains on. So if you bought a house for $500,000, you didn't put anything into it, you didn't do any repairs or anything, and then 2 years later you sold it for $750,000, you wouldn't pay capital gains on that $250,000. If you're a couple, it's $500,000. So if you bought a house for $500,000 and you are blessed if 2 years later you're selling it for $1 million, but you wouldn't have to pay capital gains on that $500,000.
So in most scenarios for your primary residence, most people who are selling their home every 5 to 7 years, there's not a very, and they've been in their home for at least 2 years, there's a good likelihood that they won't have capital gains.
There is.
Because
another thing I just want to mention, because I had a client call me the other day. Her mom's getting older, and they're looking for money to support her mom. And if there's a way that you can hold on to that asset and not sell it, because her mom bought her house 30 years ago, so there's like $700,000 in equity in that house. And if they can hold on to it and figure out some other way to support their mom without using the funds from the house, and again, I'm not a tax person, but once the parent dies, then there'll be a step up if the current tax laws stay, and I'm understanding them correctly. I'm not a tax person. And then you won't have to pay any capital gains on that asset.
Yes. There's a stepped up basis on inherited property.
Correct.
Okay.
Not that we're tax people.
No. I mean, in a former life, believe it or not, I did financial planning. So that's why I kind of know some of this stuff myself.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for answering these questions on buyers and sellers. I just got a few more questions for you, and we'll wrap up this interview today. And the first question I have for you is, why would someone looking to buy or sell their home would work with you over one of the hundreds of other real estate agents that are in the Chapel Hill market?
Well, I go above and beyond for my clients. I treat every real estate transaction like it was my own, or I was doing it for a friend or a family member. But I think the best way to kind of understand why to work with me is probably to check out my reviews, and you can see them on my Google business page. All my testimonials are there. But yeah, that's where I check out why do you work for me or with me.
That's good, because that's one of the things I noticed that real estate agents don't do a very good job at, is getting some third-party testimonials on their Google business page. Well, thank you for coming on the show. If someone wants to reach out to you, how can they get a hold of you?
Well, they can call me on my mobile, which is 919-448-8424, or you can email me at tana.widdows@compass.com.
Well, Tana, thank you for coming on the show. Folks, until next time, make it a great day.
Thanks, Steve.
Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to the Local Real Estate Show. If you are a real estate agent, a mortgage broker, or a closing company and would like to be a guest on an upcoming show, please visit thelocalrealestateshow.com for more information. Thanks for listening.